But guess what? Sean Casey is back and in the starting lineup tonight. And so is Ryan Freel. It's the Reds against the Redbirds next on Fox Sports Net. Live from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Fox Sports Net presents Cincinnati Reds baseball. Tonight it's the Reds against the first place St. Louis Cardinals in the Central Division. Hi everybody, along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch, I'm George Grand. Reds against the Redbirds. And Chris, good news for the Reds. Yes, Ken Griffey Jr. is out of the lineup on the DL, but the Reds do get two guys back.
Well, they do get two guys back, and they're exciting guys. Obviously, when you have Sean Casey leading the league when he left in batting average, he's a guy that is obviously, you need that big left-handed bat in the middle of the lineup. Missed those 13 games with a bad calf. And Ryan Freel, Mr. Energy himself, he comes back from that bruised knee. He says he's 100%, and that's good news.
The Reds would love to have Ken Griffey Jr. in the lineup. They won't. He's on the DL, on the 15-day DL. They will be playing a very tough St. Louis Cardinal team that's been doing just everything right. They start the day 7.5 games ahead of the Reds.
Well, you know, they're a ball club that was clicking on all cylinders. They came within one game of sweeping their 9-game homestand. They beat the Reds 3 in a row after they beat the Seattle Mariners 3 in a row in St. Louis. Only Kerry Wood and the Chicago Cubs were able to stop them on the very last game before the All-Star break. So you might say this healthy Cardinal team is the team to beat.
Pitching and defense, a lethal combination for this club. Jim Edmonds robbed extra bases of Willie Mopena, robbed a home run from Adam Dunn. That's been the story of the defense, and when they need clutch hits, they've been getting them, Chris.
Well, they've got a very experienced team that Tony La Russa does, and they know how to handle the bat, and they know what they have to do with each at-bat. And when you've got guys like Albert Pujols and Jim Edmonds and run producers like Scott Rowland in your lineup, boy, you really can't just say, I just can't let this one guy beat me. All of them can beat you. Look at the numbers that they posted up there. But I think of all these numbers that you see, that innings per start is so very important. They rank first in the league in that category. When you can keep your relief corps out of there until the 7th or 8th inning, you're really doing a job.
Quality starts takes a lot of pressure off your bullpen, and that's what the Reds hope to do. Let's take a look at our G pitching matchup for tonight. It'll be Matt Morris going for the St. Louis Cardinals and the newest starter for the Reds.
Well, Jesus Sanchez, he's a left-hander, and you may want to say, hey, why a lefty against the Cardinals? They kill lefties. Well, Dave Miley said in our pregame show he liked the matchup here. Jesus Sanchez pitched 6 good innings against the Cardinals his last time out. Matt Morris, always very tough, got that big curveball. He's had 8 days to rest and think about this ball game, so expect to see a good Matt Morris tonight.
Do or die for the Reds. They start the night 7.5 games back of the Cardinals. Matt Morris goes for the Redbirds. Sanchez for the Reds next on Fox Sports Net.
Well, welcome again to Chris's Clubhouse. Today I ask you the same question that my stockbroker says to me. Is past performance any indication of future results? Well, let's take that to baseball and the Central Division. Can the Cardinals keep up the pace? Right now they're in first place by 7 games over the Chicago Cubs, and all eyes of the Central Division are on this series here with the Reds. Of course, 4 with the Reds and then 2 more with the Chicago Cubs. The only 2 more games they play with the Cubs all year long. So how can the Cardinals do it in the second half? And what have they done in the second half? Well, let's take a look over the last few years what teams, the best teams in baseball, have done since 2000 after the All-Star game. Oakland is the best. They are way over 500, obviously, with a 669 winning percentage, then San Francisco, and then St. Louis right here. Yes, they are 180 and 116 after the All-Star break. That's an indication this ball club really knows how to kick it into gear after the game, after the All-Star break. And why? Well, Matt Morris is terrific after the All-Star break. 20 games over 500. Woody Williams, the second pitcher in that pitching staff, he is 16 games over 500 during that same period of time. So the Cardinals now, they feel the urge, obviously, to try to put in themselves out of reach. And the Reds and the Cubs and the Houston Astros, and yes, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Pittsburgh Pirates are in the way, and it all starts tonight. Can they do it in the second half? Well, stay tuned and we'll find out. And stay tuned also because George is next. He's got lineups in action when we return with Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net.
Chevrolet starting lineup for Tony La Russa and the St. Louis Cardinals. 7-game lead in the Central. Tony Womack leads it off. Edgar Renteria second. All-star Albert Pujols will be hitting third against Cincinnati this year. 350, 2 homers and 5 knocked in. For his career, 16 homers and 47 knocked in.
Scott Rolen and Reggie Sanders also have hit well against the Reds in their career. And how about Jim Edmonds? Edmonds has been big time, 19 career home runs against the Reds. So Taguchi is in left, Mike Matheny behind the plate, and Matt Morris will bat in the number 9 position. And here's the Reds starter, left-hander Jesus Sanchez.
Second time in a row that Jesus will face this Cardinal ball club. He did it back on the 7th before the All-Star break, obviously, and pitched a pretty good ball game. He went 6 innings overall of 7-hit baseball. The numbers on Jesus overall a little tilted because he's only got a couple of starts under his belt. But what he did against this Cardinal team the first time is the reason that he is out there right now, according to Dave Miley and Don Gullett. We'll see how this lefty does it. Not an overpowering lefty overall, because we're going to take a look right now at our Pontiac scouting report. He's got an average fastball and average stuff overall. He does have a changeup that just acts as a screwball, a slider, but he's got an excellent pickoff moves. And those Cardinals, who are a running team, if they get on base, especially Renteria and Tony Womack, know exactly how good Sanchez can be with a runner at first base.
Ready to play baseball, and here's the spark plug to this offense, Tony Womack. Womack in July, 6th best in the National League with a .429 average. You want to keep him off the bases because he's stolen 14, been caught only 2 times. Been a big guy at the top of the order. This is the 68th time this year he has started in the leadoff spot. The 2 spots you put money in the bank. Womack always will start in the leadoff spot. Pujols will start 3rd. From there, everybody bounces around a bit, but Womack really has been the guy they wanted to replace Fernando Vina, and he has. In at .319, 4 homers, 25 knocked in. He lashes this one down the left field line in the seats. No balls and 2 strikes. Tony comes in with 19 doubles and those 4 home runs. He'll shorten up his swing. He'll drop a bunt down. Now with 2 strikes, he'll still sneak the ball through on the left side. Pitch him down and in, and he'll bang it down to the first baseman too. There's a dribbler down to second. Jimenez has it over to Casey, and there's 1 away. One of the keys, keep that guy off the bases, and the Reds do it the first time around. Here's your 4th defensive alignment, Sean Casey. Hey, he's back at first. Casey's back in the lineup. So is Ryan Friel. Casey, .994 fielding percentage, 4th among National League first basemen. Jimenez, Larkin, Larson across the infield. Dunn in left, Friel in center for Ken Griffey Jr., who's on the DL with the pulled hamstring, and Pena's over and right. So Friel's back in center, Casey's back at first. 2 guys who were on the DL when the Reds last played on Sunday before the All-Star break. Here's Renteria. He went to the All-Star game. He's in at .283, 6 homers and 40 knocked in. Another guy over .300 against the Reds for his career, .307, 9 homers and 57 knocked in. Career numbers for these Cardinals pretty good, but batting in 2004 even better. Womack .400, Matheny .357, Rolen .350, Pujols .350, Edmonds .333, all against the Reds this year. That's why St. Louis, one of the reasons why they won 5 of 6 between these 2 teams. You go to the All-Star game, you're happy. You get a base hit, you're even happier. The only bad news for National Leaguers was the American League victory in that All-Star game. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Loop to center. There's a base hit. So 1 out base hit for Renteria. Edgar's on, and here comes Albert Pujols.
Well, they say the statistics don't lie, and in the case of Edgar Renteria, definitely true, because against left-handers this year, he's batting 200 points higher than he is against lefty or righties. A .430 plus batting average against left-handers, and down the low 200s against right-handers, and that's why Tony La Russa moved him up from the number 7 spot or the 6th spot into that number 2 slot today, and he gets on base.
Been a hallmark of his career. He's been lethal against left-handers. Not just during the regular season. He's come up with big postseason hits for the Florida Marlins and for the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's Pujols, .304, 22 homers and 60 knocked in on the season. His 84th start in the 3rd spot in this lineup. It really has been a year of ironclad spots for him. He's back at first full time and in the 3 spot full time. 2 doubles and 2 runs batted in the All-Star game for Albert. From the stretch, Sanchez with Rolen on deck. Home plate umpire Jerry Davis, he's the crew chief. Bruce Dreckman is over at first. Larry Poncino, your second base umpire, and Greg Gibson, the third base umpire, as we start the post All-Star break saga of this season. The Cardinals 54-33, 21 games over 500. The Reds 47-41, 6 over, and 7.5 back of the Cardinals in the Central. Look out.
Well, that's pretty impressive as well. And following Renteria, who's 200 points higher against lefties, here you've got Albert Pujols, who is much better against left-handers as well. So it's one of these situations when you go up and down this lineup and you're a left-handed pitcher, you have to pitch very aggressive baseball, because if you find yourself behind in the count, 2-0 and 3-1, these guys just waylay you.
Be aggressive, don't walk, folks. Key against the Cardinals. In the dirt, LaRue scoops. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You say don't walk, folks, George, and against most teams and most players, that's an easy thing to do, because most hitters go up there trying to be aggressive. But in the case of Albert Pujols, not only is he aggressive, but he's only aggressive on balls that are inside the strike zone. He's got nearly double the number of base on balls than he does strikeouts. That's the kind of statistic, the ratio, only reserved for guys like Barry Bonds, and he is in that stratosphere now.
2-2. Slap foul. Among young hitters in the league, Casey and Pujols from day one have been even Steven walk to strikeout or better, and that's a rarity among young hitters. Casey, of course, 352 when he went on the disabled list, still remains one of the best hitters in all of baseball. Happy to be back in the lineup. Tough to be hurt. It's even tougher to sit and watch your teammates play every night. 2-2. Pujols making Sanchez work here in the first, and they'll toss over. Renteria has stolen 10, been caught 6 times. Cardinals 62 stolen bases compared to 37 for the Reds going into tonight. They not only will steal, they'll hit and run. La Russa aggressive with the right count. 6-3, double play. That's what Sanchez wanted, and he got it from the captain. Pujols bounces into a twin killing. A hit, nothing to show for it. To the bottom of 1 we go. There's your Chevrolet starting lineup for the Cincinnati Reds. Sure is good to see number 21 back in the lineup, isn't it? He's hitting third tonight against the Cardinals. 301, 7 homers, 41 knocked in. He wasn't with the Reds in last week's series against St. Louis. Friel back in the lineup too. He's in the leadoff spot. Then Larkin, then Casey. Dunn in the cleanup spot. Jimenez the switch hitter. Pena right-handed. LaRue right-handed. Larson right-handed. Sanchez the pitcher bats in the 9th spot. That is your Chevrolet starting lineup for the Reds. And here's the veteran right-hander, Matt Morris.
Seems like every championship team has a pitcher like Matt Morris, a guy that goes out there, takes control, and eats up a lot of innings, and he does all those things, even though this year he's not throwing as fast as he has in the past. Fastball up only in the low 90s instead of the mid 90s. Let's take a look at our Pontiac scouting report. Fastball no longer overpowering, so he's really got to concentrate on hitting spots. He's got that sharp down-breaking curveball, 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and he is an innings eater. He has gone at least 6 innings in 17 of his 18 starts.
Here's Ryan Friel in at 281. A homer and 16 knocked in. Friel not on the disabled list, but was not available to play that last series in Milwaukee. It was in St. Louis that he slid into the right field fence and injured his left knee. He's okay. He says he's ready to go after rehabbing over the All-Star break. Casey reactivated from the disabled list today. That meant that Corky Miller was sent back down to Louisville. And the other move that the Reds made today, that Steven Smitherman, a minor league outfielder, was outrighted. She was placed on waivers and cleared waivers and was outrighted to Louisville. That's a bouncer into center field, and Friel is on. The Reds' best stolen base threat is on. So Friel, a base hit, he's on, and even the time off, Chris, doesn't change things for Ryan Friel.
That's amazing. You know, as exciting as this guy is and as high energy as he is, when you take him out of the Reds lineup and then you actually take him out of the Reds clubhouse and you leave him at home and you send the team on the road to Milwaukee, boy, it's like a morgue in there. But he reacts just like you'd expect him to. hitting the ball on solidly and finding a way to get on base.
After missing 4 games, doesn't miss a beat. He gets a base hit his first time up, and he's running. Here comes the throw by Matheny. It won't be in time, and he's in there. Stolen base number 15. So Friel right away ignites the Reds here in the first inning. Take a look at the jump he gets on Morris.
You gotta love that, because you don't let Matt Morris get into the groove of throwing out of the stretch position. You go up there, you get a base hit, and immediately you put the pressure on him. And on his first delivery, he goes off and gets into second base easily ahead of the throw right there, even though it was a good throw by Matheny. 15 of them on the year for Ryan.
So Friel, 15 stolen bases. The base hit stretches his career high hitting streak from 9 to 10 games. He's now in scoring position for Barry Larkin. Ryan Friel is like one of those race cars sitting at the starting line, revving up and ready to go. He was like a caged lion ready to get started today, and here he is, base hit, stolen base early, and Larkin looking to drive him in. Shows bunt, takes a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike to Barry. Barry, an all-star for the 12th time, the most in franchise history, behind Johnny Bench, who was an all-star 14 times, and Pete Rose, an all-star 13 times.
This is where Barry Larkin can make a difference with an out. If he's able to get Ryan Friel to third base, take it easy on Sean Casey, and make it easy for Casey to get a run in with just a fly ball into the outfield. Very important right away to try to get the crowd into the ball game and try to put runs on the board. You don't want to get too far behind to a team like the St. Louis Cardinals, because they find ways of burying their opponents.
Cardinals score every which way. The Reds score with big ball. They need a little ball right here. Get him on, get him over, get him in. They've gotten him on, got him over to second. Larkin's job either at least get him to third or get him in. And Casey due up next. Three and one. Working the outside corner with a breaking ball. It's full. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Larkin.
Now you got to figure that Matt Morris is thinking the same thing that Barry Larkin is. That Larkin wants to hit the ball to the right side. That ball wasn't anywhere near to being a strike, but it just broke away from Larkin. Don't be surprised to see him try to crowd him right here with something to keep him pulling.
Dribble to the left side. That'll get the runner to third anyways, and that'll get the runner in. The error by Morris allows Larkin to go to second and Friel to score, and the Reds lead it 1-0. And it goes a base hit and an error on the throw.
Sometimes a swinging bunt is better than a real bunt. Swinging bunt is when you take a full swing and the ball only goes out there in front of home plate a little ways. So he picks up a base hit, Larkin does, and because the ball bounces over the tarp and into the stands, Ryan Friel comes around to score from first base. So now the Reds have pushed across a run, have a man on second base, and still nobody out.
So Larkin's sitting at second, and Casey's now at the plate. So again, base hit for Larkin. Error on Morris, and the Reds score a run 1-0. Here's Casey, 352, 15 homers and 64 knocked in. Off the disabled list today and back in the lineup. Casey did go to the All-Star game and said, you know, it was more fun not having to play. He just enjoyed all the festivities. Got to take his son on the field for home run derby. Brought his video camera again, so he'll have another video to reflect on in years to come. Off the foot, 1 ball, 2 strikes. John Casey, Ken Griffey Jr., the Reds' 2 best hitters with runners in scoring position this year. The 3-time All-Star, 365 this year with runners in scoring position. Been on the disabled list since July the 4th. Look out. That clears him behind the Reds dugout. Stays 1-2.
Getting out ahead of it just a little bit. That's a cutter or a little slider right there from Morris. There's no way that Casey can keep that ball fair. As good as Casey is at getting inside the ball with his hands, that ball was just destined either to hit him on the thumbs unless he pulled that ball as much as he did.
3 sets of signs for Matheny, and Casey says, wait a minute, I'm stepping out. Larkin good speed off second. Renteria right behind him. Good news for Casey, he's in at 352. On the downside, in the 2.5 weeks prior to going on the disabled list, he hit only 254, so maybe the break will get his battery recharged again. That's a bullet, but it's foul down the right field line. His average at one point was at 379. It dipped to 352 when he hit the DL. Long season, Chris, and sometimes those stints either on the sidelines, not for a full DL strip, but a week here, or in his case 2 weeks, might recharge the batteries for you.
Exactly. That's what you hope anyway, that a guy gets recharged instead of out of a certain particular hitting mode. If he's in a slump, that's a perfect time for you to get a little injured or have a little nick and bruise and miss some time. But when you're swinging the bat very well, that's the last time you want to go down. Matt Moore is throwing just about everything but the kitchen sink at Casey right here, trying to get him out.
Casey 9 for 26 against Morris in his career. Morris finally wins this battle. Strikeout number 1 for Matt Morris. Out number 1, and here comes Adam Dunn. Here's your Ford defensive alignment for the Cardinals. St. Louis overall defensively comes in 5th in the league. They've made 51 errors on the year. None from this guy, Mike Matheny. He is now in his 240th game without making an error as a catcher. Matheny behind the plate. Roland, Renteria, Womack, Pujols across the infield. Taguchi, Edmonds, and Sanders in the outfield. That's your Ford defensive alignment. Here's Dunn at 263, 25 homers and 53 knocked in. 25 home run total ranks him 3rd in the major leagues. Jim Tomei at 28, Manny Ramirez at 26 ahead of him. D'Angelo Jimenez on deck. That's inside. Dunn has had trouble with Morris throughout his career, 3 for 19. Morris, on the other hand, has had trouble all year in the first inning, similar to Paul Wilson last year for Cincinnati, who just couldn't get out of the first inning. You look at the numbers for Matt Morris. April, May, June, July in the first, Chris.
A lot of people are like this. A lot of good pitchers are like this, where it takes them a little while to kind of get their sea legs, if you want to call it that, get in the groove of the ball game. And the old baseball saying is, if you don't get them early, sometimes you don't get them at all. Certainly Matt Morris falls into that category. You know, it's a funny transition for pitchers, because when you come out of the bullpen, some days you feel like you have all your stuff working, and you go out there and the mound feels different, or the national anthem is a little bit late, or something delays the game, and you just don't feel right. On other days, you don't feel right out of the bullpen. You come onto the mound and everything comes together for you.
Popped up in the infield. Roland calling. Larkin will hold at second. Roland has it, 2 away. I want to win tickets to any United States sporting event of your choice? Then score with Pick 4, the Ohio Lottery and Fox Sports Net. We're giving you the chance to win a trip for 2 to any U.S. sporting event of your choice in 2005, including hotel accommodations, airfare, and event tickets. Just log on to fsnohio.com for more information and score with Pick 4. Might be the NBA Finals next year. Do you pick the Miami Heat with Shaquille O'Neal to make it to the finals?
Automatically.
You probably do. You got the big man, looks a whole lot different. I don't know how many people will be picking the Lakers. Remains to be seen now that Shaq is officially a Miami Heat. Here's D'Angelo, 259, 6 homers, and 27 knocked in, trying to get the run in. So it's been a battling first inning already for Morris. 26 pitches already for big number 35. The one thing the Cardinals have not had in this first half, and just about everybody else in the division, the contenders, have, is injuries. They've been able to battle through. Pujols pulled a hamstring but was able to play through it. Matheny spent time on the disabled list but came back 100%. And Chris, most importantly, Matt Morris, who spent some time on the DL, Chris Carpenter, who had arm surgery and just came off an extended stint on the DL. Woody Williams has been at times disabled but a durable pitcher still. None of them have been injured through the first half. That's been a big boon to the Cardinals.
Well, that's been the entire thing for the Cardinals, because they have been essentially injury free of their big guys. Of their main starters, their all-stars, they've been somewhat injury-free. Of their starting rotation, they've gotten much more out of Chris Carpenter than they ever thought they would. But you project him into the second half, and Morris has always been a second-half pitcher. Woody Williams has always been a good second-half pitcher. But the wild card is, what will Chris Carpenter do? Having missed a couple of years, will he have the stamina? What about Jason Marquis? He's never put together a big second half. Will he be able to do it this year? So the Cardinals, even though they're in the driver's seat right now, certainly not going to be downhill slide all the way in to the playoffs.
A walk to Jimenez. Here's Willie Mo Pena. Pena, 270, 10 homers and 28 knocked in. Willie Mo at Milwaukee on Sunday, 4 for 5, 2 homers, 3 knocked in. That ended a 2 for 21 slide for Willie Mo before the break. That's a dribbler down to third. Rolen will take it. The Gold Glover will tap third. That'll do it. So the Reds do get a run on 2 base hits and an error by Morris. They lead at 1-0. When we return, Rolen comes tonight. The Reds and the Redbirds make your move. Reds 7 of the next 14 games against the Cardinals. Important series. Casey comes back. Reds 6 and 7 without Casey in the lineup. 41 and 34 overall with. Our storyline update for tonight. Here's Scott Rolen in at 339, 18 homers and 80 knocked in. And Chris, if you're a Cardinal fan, you're hoping that number 27 stays healthy. He's been bothered by a gimpy knee, still in there. And while he continues to play day in and day out, Cardinals are keeping their fingers crossed it doesn't get worse. Backhanded by Jimenez, long throw, he got him. D'Angelo Jimenez comes up with another dandy, and there's a pretty good example of Scott Rolen going down to first. He's not running 100% by any means.
He's nowhere near 100%. That's one thing that is very interesting and worrisome for the Cardinals right now. His knee bothering him very bad. Some say it's bone on bone, but that ball right through the wickets. And where's the second baseman? There he is. D'Angelo Jimenez showing a lot of range right there. And if you saw at the very end of that running to first base, when he had to slow down, it looked like he was in a little bit of pain.
Nice play by Jimenez to get the out. 1 away, and here's Reggie Sanders.
You know, they're already talking, some of the Cardinal people, not too much about it, but they'd love to see them roll up a big lead and then give Rolen some serious time off from time to time, rest him for the playoff run.
You'll never say boo about any injury, but the doctors did check it last week when we were in St. Louis, and they deemed that it does not need surgery right now, but certainly it continues to bother him. The more that he plays on it, the worse it will get. It's not going to get much better. And it's pretty clear, too, the Cardinals would love to get a middle infielder that can play second, third, or short as insurance in case one or more go down. You know, Renteria's had knee and back troubles. Rolen's got the knee trouble, and Tony Womack has battled back from his arm surgery. Cardinals are blessed with a whole bunch of outfielders. Reggie Sanders one of them, but you know, the guy that they would love to have again is a guy they traded for Scott Rolen, Placido Polanco. Polanco's one of those guys who could play anywhere and was so valuable. Here's the former Red Reggie Sanders at 257, 14 and 43. Against his former team, just about a 300 career average, 291, 8 homers, 24 knocked in. Native of Florence, South Carolina. From 91 through 98, hit over 100 homers with the Reds. And since then, 6 different uniforms and a couple of trips to the postseason. That's ball 4 to Reggie, a 1-out walk. First walk issued by Sanchez, and here comes Jim Edmonds. Hey, her looks made her a superstar off the court, made her one of the world's best-known tennis players, but struggles in tournaments and injuries led to disappointment on the court. Anna Kournikova, Beyond the Glory, Sunday at 8 right here on Fox Sports Net. There's Jimmy Edmonds, 284, 21 homers, 56 knocked in. He's sitting on a streak of home runs in 5 straight ball games. It's been a long time since anybody's done that. Of course, the current record among major leaguers shared by Ken Griffey Jr. He did it back in 93, 8 straight. Don Mattingly did it in 87. Dale Long did it in 56. Can't forget about Sanders down at first. He has stolen 13, been caught only twice. That streak for Edmonds started against the Reds last week. Had 2 home runs in games against Cincinnati, and then 3 against the Cubs. Skied to left, Dunn closing on it. He'll haul it in. Sanders tagging, but he'll pull up halfway. 2 away, and here comes Taguchi. Early in night games at this time of year, that sun will be a factor for the first 2 or 3 innings, so you need the sunglasses.
You know, it's really a factor both for the left fielder, the center fielder, and the batter. Usually the way the major league fields are laid out, that the right field is the sun field, but because of Great American Ballpark's layout, so that you can look over the river and into Kentucky from the high spots in the stadium, the left field is the sun field here. And that same sun will reflect off that batter's eye in dead center field and cause it very difficult for hitters to pick up the spin of the ball early in the ball game.
Meaning you'd like to pitch right now.
Just for an inning or 2 against the lower part of the order with some really good defense.
Here's Taguchi in at 261, a homer and 11 knocked in. Hey, the good folks from Domino's have come up with another great special for Reds fans. Call Domino's now. Ask for the new 5-5-5 deal. For a limited time only, you can enjoy 3 medium 1-topping pizzas for as little as $5 each. Swing down the left field line. Dunn back towards the corner, reaching up, and he'll haul it in right in front of the 328 sign. Sanders will tag it first and go to second. Boy, Taguchi just reached for that one and tomahawked it. Almost had enough to get out.
Hey, Reggie didn't know how many outs there were. That's the 3rd out. He's standing on first base. Taguchi hits a high fastball. He thinks it's got a chance, and he'll stand on there and meet his teammate. That's a kangaroo court fine for Reggie Sanders and a catch for Adam Dunn.
Here's Jason LaRue to lead it off. Bottom of 2. LaRue, Larson, Sanchez due up. Reds got a run in the first on a hit by Friel and a stolen base. Hit by Larkin, a dribbler in front of the mound that Morris picked up. Barry was credited with a hit when the throw by Morris went over the head of the first baseman Pujols. Friel scored, and that was the Reds' run. It was an error on the pitcher Morris. That's up and in to Jason LaRue. 3 balls and no strikes to the Reds catcher. There's a strike. LaRue had a big hit, in fact the biggest hit, Sunday's 9-6 comeback win at Milwaukee. He hit one off Dan Cole, a 2-run homer. Pena and LaRue each homered off a guy who hadn't given up a homer all year long. And there's a base hit for Jason. Nobody out, 1 on. Hey, Reds fans, there's no need to panic, but there's going to be a bomb squad at the ballpark on Friday. Easton Bomb Squad will be putting on the 2004 Home Run Challenge before the evening's Reds-Cardinals game. Pre-game home run challenge will showcase the biggest hitters in the world of softball. Get to the game early on Friday, July 16th for a big night of baseball and a big night of the Easton Bomb Squad, the 2004 Home Run Challenge. Short lead for LaRue. Morris from the stretch. Here's Brandon Larson. Here's a strike. Larson in at 221. 3 homers. 6 doubles. 13 runs batted in. Last 5 games, over 300 at 316 and an even 300 against the Cardinals this season.
Well, if this team is going to put a push on to try to catch this Cardinal team between now and the end of the year, you're going to need somebody to step it up. With the absence of Ken Griffey Jr. probably sometime until the middle of August, either Brandon Larson or Jason LaRue, or maybe until Austin Kearns comes back, somebody's going to have to take a little bit more load on their shoulders, and they've been waiting for Brandon Larson to come through and be that guy. Because when you look at the bottom of the Reds lineup tonight against a right-handed pitcher, you've got Willie Mo Pena, who's a 270 hitter, but not very good this year so far against righties. LaRue 228 and Brandon Larson 221.
Good news for the Reds. They have 2 pretty good left-handed pinch hitters, Cruz and Vanderwall. The bad news is with Griffey on the disabled list now, their options reduced significantly because Cruz and Vanderwall, after knee injuries and knee surgery the last couple of years, limited defensively in what they can do. That's a swing and a miss and a strikeout. That's strikeout number 2 for Morris, and here comes Jesus Sanchez. Sanchez long look down, and Mark Barrier rolls through some signs for him. There's John Vanderwall back, joined the Reds for the final game of the Milwaukee series, and first at bat of the year, lined a base hit to left center field. Sanchez showing butt, gets it down, but foul for strike 1. As a hitter, Sanchez is 25 for 142. That equates to 176 for his career. No homers, 6 runs knocked in. Sanchez, of course, in the major leagues, pitched for Florida and Chicago and Colorado before signing on with the Reds. That's wide for a ball. Gets it down. It'll be a successful sacrifice. They get the out at first.
You know, Jesus Sanchez did a whole lot right in executing that sacrifice bunt. The first thing he did was he let everybody in the ballpark know he was going to bunt. He got himself in a good bunting position early on instead of trying to trick anybody when he knew he was going to bunt anyway. Secondly, he got way up in the batter's box. See how far up he is right there? That gives him a lot more fair territory with which to work. And Morris drops a little curveball in there, and he deadens it nicely, and sacrifice, get that runner in the scoring position.
So LaRue's sitting down at second. For the 3rd time in 2 innings, the Reds have a runner at second. They've been able to score 1. And that was Ryan Friel, who steps into the batter's box here. Friel led off the bottom of the 1st with a base hit. First pitch by Morris. He stole second and then scored on the infield hit by Larkin and the error by Morris. Tries to check it, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Morris will take this, or flips it to Pujols, and that'll do it. So the Reds get a runner on a leadoff hit by LaRue. Nothing to show for it. We head to the 3rd. Morris due up second.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Jesus Sanchez going to work. Mike Matheny, the catcher, will lead it off. Morris will follow, and then Womack. Renteria single in the first. Reggie Sanders a walk in the second. Those are the two Redbird base runners to date. Reds trying to make up ground on the Cardinals, and yep, it may be early, but it is scoreboard watching time. The Reds watched the scoreboard as the Cardinals took the first of two from the Cubs last weekend. Cubs finally won on Sunday, and not only are the Reds' fortunes at stake here, but everybody else in the division. Chicago, Milwaukee, everybody down the list, Houston, hoping that whoever plays the Cardinals can win. I mean, there's a time when you want the Cardinals to win if they're in second place, but when somebody's in first, you want them to lose so you can try to make up some ground.
Absolutely. That's why all eyes in the division are on the Reds in this big 4-game series. Remember, then the Cardinals leave here, they play the Cubs only 2 more times, so the Cubs have to sit in the sidelines helpless as they watch the Cardinals go through the rest of the division. Play the Pirates, they play the Milwaukee Brewers a whole bunch, they play the Houston Astros coming up a lot. They've also got a number of games left with teams like the San Francisco Giants and Colorado Rockies, but it'll be out of the hands of the Cubs once next week is gone.
Third week of July is the last time that these two teams, the Cardinals and the Cubs, will play each other. There's a bouncer down to Larson. 1 away, and here comes Matt Morris. One away, and here's Morris in at 135. No homers and 4 knocked in. You know, ironically, when the season started, and I don't, no matter who you're rooting for, it's wrong that the Cardinals and Cubs shouldn't be playing each other in September. It's a great rivalry. It's in the division, and should be a way for them to play each other. But when the year started, it was the Cardinals more than anything who were complaining, thinking that here were the Cubs, they were the favorites in the division, along with Houston. As it turns out, it's the Cubs now who are complaining. When you're in first place, there's no need to play the team that's in second or third. When you're in second or third, you look forward to those chances to make up a full game on a given night.
So to whom do we address our letters of complaint?
Well, when you become commissioner, we can straighten it all out. Broken bat to short. Larkin has it. Morris retired, 2 away. Hey, don't forget the Meyer Kentucky Speedway Racing Report's coming your way Sunday morning at 10:30. Get behind the wheel with some of racing's top drivers. Climb under the hood with the mechanics who fuel the high-octane energy. Watch the Meyer Kentucky Speedway Racing Report Sunday morning 10:30 right here on Fox Sports Net. 2 away, and here comes the leadoff hitter, Womack. Tony bounced to second first time up. Womack's been to the postseason, came up with Pittsburgh and went to Arizona. Played everywhere that year in Arizona when they went to the postseason. Had key plays at short, down the stretch, and in the postseason. Played second, played short, played the outfield. And he brings speed to the ballpark. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kind of a homecoming of sorts for Tony Womack. He came into town last year in October, had his elbow cut on, and had Tommy John surgery by Reds team Dr. Tim Kremchek.
Larson has it. Well, so far this homecoming is 0 for 2 tonight. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds for Sanchez. Here we go to the bottom of 3. Larkin will lead it off. Baseball here at Great American Ballpark. Very pleasant evening so far. Reds on the smiling side of the scoreboard. A run, 3 hits, no errors. Cardinals, no runs, a hit and an error. Here's Barry Larkin. Larkin on a 3-2 pitch dribbled the ball in front of the mound with Friel on second. Morris picked it up, threw it over the head of Pujols. That enabled Larkin to reach and move to second, and Friel to score. That's the Reds' run. Breaking ball misses up and in. Arcona extra miles away from ordinary. Larkin, the last Reds player to get a hit in an All-Star game when he singled off David Cone. That was in the '99 game, the All-Star game in Boston. Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. Barry scoops, tosses, and oh no. Error fan. They'll get the ball. Barry looks so good fielding that dude, isn't he? He's had a pretty good month. I mean, hasn't made an error in the month of July down
Are we
there.
keeping stats on that? I hope so.
Swinging
Pretty good slider so far on the night by Matt Morris. You know, we talked about in our Pontiac scout report how good his curveball is, how good his fastball used to be, but tonight it looks like he's got a little wrinkle going. It's either a cut fastball or a very small slider. Hard to pick up the spin, and that ball has gone away from right-handed hitters. He struck out Brandon Larson on it, and he now gets Barry Larkin on it.
Already 53 pitches. That included 31 in the first inning. Here's Sean Casey with one out. Casey struck out with Larkin on second in the first. Especially with the lead the Cardinals have, there was some talk about possibly backing up Morris to start the second half, give him a few extra days off. Cardinals opted not to do that, and he's at the top of the rotation as we start the second half. 2-0. Bang down to Womack. He's got it. 2 away. And now here's the summer takeoff upcoming schedule, brought to you by AmeriSuites and Wellesley Inns and Suites. For summer takeoff details on how you can stay at any AmeriSuites or Wellesley Inns and Suites and receive $100 off any airline ticket anytime, visit summertakeoff.com. Remember, the Cardinal game, which we were originally scheduled to do on Saturday, that's now a Fox Net game. So we'll be here on Sunday afternoon for the Redbird game, then Monday against Milwaukee. Two away, and here's Dunn, popped out to the third baseman. Slice down the left field line, curving, heading towards the corner. It's a fair ball. Taguchi will track it down deep in the corner. Dunn will cruise into second with a two-base hit. Double number 16 for Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn, one of those guys who is so dangerous when he swings the bat on any count in any part of the ballpark. He gets the ball airborne, and you just really never know. This ball coming off his bat is slicing and slicing hard all the way. Taguchi kind of playing him over in the gap, and the ball falls just inside the line. And so now for the third inning in a row, the Reds have a runner in scoring position.
First Friel, then Larkin, then LaRue, all have reached second, and now add Dunn to that list. Here's Jimenez, who walked in the first inning. D'Angelo trying to stretch a 4-game hitting streak. Womack to Morris.
Wow.
That'll go 3 to 4 to 1. Alert play by Womack. Just touching it by Pujols enable Womack to get through it. That saved a run for the Cardinals. Still Saturday date down on your calendar, because Tony Perez has signed 500 autographed baseball for fans during Banquet Kroger Tony Perez Autographed Baseball Day. First 10,000 fans in the park receive a Tony Perez scratch-off baseball card, while 500 lucky scratch-off winners receive a Tony autographed baseball. Don't miss your chance to see Albert Pujols, the Cardinals, on Saturday at 1:25 during Banquet Kroger Tony Perez Autographed Baseball Day. Here's Edgar Renteria hitting second in the lineup, leading it off, top of 4. Renteria, Pujols, and Rowland. Renteria singled in the first, but Pujols hit into a twin killing to end the first inning. Down the right field line, but out of play for Edgar.
I really like the way early on here Jesus Sanchez has just come out firing right after these Cardinals, not getting behind the count, being very aggressive. You know, a lot of people question whether Dave Miley made the right decision by sending Sanchez out here. After all, he's a left-hander, and the Cardinals on the year have just fed on left-handed pitching. You got to remember that Sanchez has had 80 starts in the major leagues. He's somewhat of a veteran out there, even though he's bounced around with a few teams the last few years. Out to try to establish himself again as an everyday major league pitcher. or for him, an every 5th day major league pitcher.
Sanchez, during spring training, the early part of spring training, was probably the biggest surprise in the Reds camp as a pitcher. Part of that, and it usually happens, Chris, those who pitch winter ball are usually ahead of everybody else. He was, and he did. He looked like he was in mid-season form. The Reds had a numbers game at the end of spring training, and his last couple of outings weren't as good as his early outings, so that kind of wrote his epitaph as the start of the season addition to the roster. But he's always been on the radar. There's always been a possibility he'd come up either as a bullpen guy or a spot starter. 2-2, that's through into left field. A base hit for Renteria. He's 2 for 2. Beat just keeps on going for Edgar, doesn't it? Time for our Aflac trivia question for tonight. You know what that means. Who are the 3 players in Major League Baseball history with 30-plus game hit streaks and 40 home runs in the same season? A 30-game hit streak and 40 or more homers in the same season. Answer coming up for you. As Albert Pujols steps into the batter's box, he bounced into a double play first time up. The 11th double play that Pujols has grounded into this year, and he'll usually be up somewhere around 18 or 20 by the year's end, but he's so productive that number you kind of forget about.
And you wonder if this guy that you're seeing, Edgar Renteria, may want to take a chance for a stolen base right here to keep Pujols out of the double play, but also put the pressure on. But in the meantime, he was going back to first base on that first delivery by Sanchez. And he's got kind of a short lead.
Usually the smaller left-handers with the compact motion are the ones that have the most deceiving move to first, and Sanchez will fit that criteria pretty good.
And they're also able to deliver the ball quicker, it seems like, to first base.
Two balls, no strikes. The other side of it is you spend too much time worrying about that guy at first, which Renteria usually tries to make you do. You got a Pujols and a Roland sitting at the plate waiting for you to make a mistake. And that's 40 home runs between them already. Fastball wide, and it's 3-0.
Well, if you're Jesus Sanchez and Jason LaRue, you better bet everything that Albert Pujols has got the green light here on a 3-0 count. So make a quality pitch.
Uh-oh, deep left. That's a quality swing. Well, Renteria did his job. Sanchez worried about him, and the worry now shifted to the guy at the plate. Pujols' 23rd homer of the year, 62 runs batted in, and the Cardinals have a 2-1 lead.
There are those in baseball that feel like you shouldn't give a hitter a green light on a 3-0 count because you're going to get just as good a pitch on a 3-1 count or a 3-2 count. Well, you've got the quality of the hitter of an Albert Pujols. You just go up there and you just let him rip. If he likes something, you're never going to put the brakes on him. Our Rico home run replay, that 3-0 pitch lined out of here in a hurry.
Number 23 for Albert, and here's Roland. Uncommonly outstanding young man and great ball player, Albert Pujols. Under 25, but plays like someone 10 years his senior. Here's Roland, bounced to second first time up. This Cardinal lineup, it always seems like they're one swing away from getting back in it or taking a lead, and that's exactly what's happened here in the fourth. Leadoff base hit, homer. 2-1 St. Louis. Been a while for Roland, huh? Still 18 homers and 80 knocked in. Full count to Roland. Cardinals strike fast. Sanchez knows that.
He is visibly limping.
Boy,
Scott Rowland, as you can see that he is in some serious pain, swinging and missing on a high fastball right there to get a strikeout. But he limped a couple of steps after he left the batter's box.
It's almost like he could not put full pressure on that knee. You saw it running down to first when he bounced to second back in the second, and you could really see it as he pivoted on that swing. So 1 away, and here's Reggie Sanders. He walked back in the second. Foul, and it's 2-1 to the Cardinal right fielder.
Well, even though he struck out Scott Rowland, what Jesus Sanchez is doing this time through the order that he did not do the first time through is get behind the hitters. Got behind 3-0 to Albert Pujols, got behind 3-1 to Scott Rowland before he came back and got a strikeout, and was here 2-0 to Reggie Sanders.
Takes a little off. Out in front is Reggie. 2-2.
You know, it's a battle. It's a constant battle for a pitcher to continually convince yourself that your stuff is good enough to get hitters out, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the same game.
Line to right. That'll, whoa, reach the seats, and some poor guy reaching for it forgot he had a glass full of something that's now watering the grass. That's a
he thought he had a Rawlings glove in his hand when he really had was a Budweiser.
I didn't get the ball. I didn't get, oh no. And thanks to everybody around me too for the shower. 2-2. Ooh. Sanchez wanted that one down and in, doesn't get it, and we'll go full 3-2. Pretty good pitch.
You know, interesting, we just showed you that last pitch, not the one he fouled off, the one previous to that. But as good as it looked to us, it was probably a ball, because Jerry Davis, all umpires, are usually on the inside shoulder of the catcher, and they've got a perfect line right down that inside corner. That's why there are fewer strikes that's seemingly called on the inside part of the plate than on the outside part of the plate, because that umpire's lined up right there. That's home plate right there, and he sees a pretty good shot at it.
That's low. That'll be ball 4. Sanders has walked twice. Those are the 2 free passes that Sanchez has issued. Here comes Don Gullett trotting out to talk to his left-hander, and LaRue will join him on the mound.
You know, for Jesus Sanchez, it's all about trying to give the hitter an opportunity to get himself out. He's not going to get anybody out. His stuff is average. His breaking ball is okay. His fastball is only 88 to 90 miles an hour. Doesn't have a lot of movement on it. His changeup doesn't have anybody way out in front. What he really wants the hitter to do is to make a commitment early in the count to hit the ball, hit the top half of it, hit the bottom half of it, just not hit it squarely. And in order to do that, though, you've got to stay aggressive. He did that the first time through the lineup, but he's not doing it now the second time through. It's almost like he's pitching afraid of contact, and maybe that's the message delivered out there by the sheriff.
What caught the Reds' eye early was the way he was aggressive this year, and that's what they expect him to be now. That's his chance to stay up here. And here's Edmonds. Fly ball to left first time up. Still only 1 out. There goes Sanders, gets a big break. LaRue's throw won't be nearly in time. It's a stolen base for Reggie. That's his 14th of the year.
Well, against a left-handed pitcher, if you guess on the right pitch when he does not come to first base, you're likely, if you go on first move, you're going to have that base nearly standing up. Reggie Sanders guessed right, ends up with an easy stolen base. Now it's even more important for Jesus Sanchez to not worry about Reggie Sanders the second, but bear down here on Edmonds.
Edmonds 0 for 1 and 2 for 11 in his career with a homer against this left-hander Sanchez. And Jerry Davis getting a little upset behind the plate. If you watch Davis, every once in a while he'll start to clap his hands. That's his subtle way of saying, let's get it moving.
This inning is for the benefit of the concessionaires. Get your peanuts, Jerry.
One ball to Edmonds. Way inside. We just left Milwaukee before the All-Star break, where the Brewers have been either 14th, 15th, or 16th with runners in scoring position all season long. The Cardinals are at the other end of that. They get a runner on, they get him over, and they usually get him in. The Cardinals, as a team, are #1 in the National League with runners in scoring position. The Reds, by and large, have been horrible, with the exception of Griffey and Casey. Cardinals, numbers, numero uno in the National League. That's a liner. Casey knocks it down. Will they make a play? Yes, they do. Nice job by Casey. Hit the glove, bounced up, but he didn't quit on it, and Sanchez did his job. The runner will go to third, but they'll get the second out, and that saved a run.
Well, you got to hand it to both of these guys. Casey, obviously, for this play. This ball is absolutely scalded down there, and he comes up with it, but Sanchez didn't give up. He's got to look at that play and say, you know what, there's still a chance, and he's got to get over to first base in a hurry to cover the bag in the event that Casey can recover, which he did. Man, was that ball hit hard. Saved the run right there to Sean Casey.
Well, that tests the calf, the shoulder, and everything else. He jammed that shoulder as he hit the turf. Still got up and still made the play. So there's a runner at third, but 2 outs now. Taguchi trying to bunt his way. He will, and the run will score. A base hit for Taguchi. A run scores, and it's 3-1 St. Louis. If the ball hits the grass, it's a run, and that's exactly what happens.
Well, you see where Brandon Larson is playing way back here by third base, and I don't know whether he didn't think that Taguchi was a bunt prospect. Well, with that particular bunt, it probably didn't matter. He probably could have been playing even with the bag. As good as that is, and as thick as the grass here is in the infield at Great American Ballpark, boy, that nearly stopped. It is stopped before they finally were able to get to it. So a surprise attack by Reggie Sanders on the stolen base, and Taguchi lays down a 2-out bunt to drive the run in.
Well, Reggie scores. It's 3-1. 3 hits in the inning. A single, a homer, and the infield hit by Taguchi. Out in front, Matheny. 1 strike to the Cardinal catcher. Loop to right center. That's going to head all the way to the warning track. Taguchi can fly. He comes around second, around third. Coming to the plate, he'll score easily. So Matheny gets a double. For Mike Matheny, his 13th double of the year. And that gives him his 25th run batted into the year. And it's now 4-1 St. Louis. Sanchez had it all working through the first three. He's slowed down here in the fourth, and the Cardinals have picked their offense up.
Well, he's gotten the ball up, and he's simply not a pitcher that can afford to pitch up above the waist. That ball to Mike Matheny is up and out over the plate. Matheny does a job of hitting it into the gap. That was almost an identical spot where he threw the pitch to Albert Pujols, so he launched out of here. I don't really think that it's a matter of the Cardinals getting used to the offerings of Jesus Sanchez. I just simply think that he's lost his control of the ball in the strike zone. He's throwing the ball above the waist way too consistently in this inning.
Didn't have the stuff to survive with that. Swing and a miss by Morris. 0-2. Up in the bullpen for Cincinnati. Ryan Wagner has gotten up and started to loosen. Swing and a miss. Sanchez gets the out, but before he does, 8 come to the plate. The Cardinals score 4 and lead it 4-1 as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Consider it done on the big screen. Great crowd on hand here, inside the ballpark and outside. Great American Ballpark, the home of the Reds, at a beautiful venue and right next to the Ohio River. Just a picture-perfect night to head down to the river and park your boat, head into the ballpark. Here's Willie Mo Pena. LaRue and Larson will follow as we go to the bottom of 4. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Cardinals now. A run, 4 hits for Cincinnati. Willie Mo's 4 hits on Sunday against Milwaukee, a career high. And that was also his first 2 home run ball game. He had 3 homers in the series. 2 of them were electric. One ball, 1 strike. He waves at that. Morris locked him up, and it's 1-2. Ryan Wagner still loosening in the bullpen, which lends you to believe that if the Reds get to the 4th spot this inning, it would be Jesus Sanchez's spot, and Dave Miley might very well pinch hit there. Off the end of the bat, here comes Sanders, off his glove. Pena rounds first, gets the second, and he'll hold there. Reggie had to come a long way to get to that. It hit enough leather to be caught, but that'll go as a 2-base hit.
Well, you know, when you've got the kind of power that Willie Mo Pena has, outfielders are going to play you deep, even with 2 strikes. And that's one reason why that ball finds some grass out there after it hits leather. Reggie Sanders, if you ask him, he probably should have, he'll tell you he should have had that ball, and he really should have. But he had to come a long way for it, had to die for it, mainly because he was playing deep against Willie Mo.
So Pena sitting out at second, and here's LaRue. Jason led off the second with a double. With a single, rather, was sacrificed to second, but was stranded there when Friel bounced out to end the inning. So Willie Mo gives the Reds another runner at second. They've had one there every inning. Renteria over to Pujols, and there's 1 away. Time for our Aflac Trivia answer for tonight. The question: who are the 3 players in baseball history with a 30-plus game hit streak and a 40 home run number in the same year? Well, Albert Pujols joined that list in 2003 with St. Louis. Vladimir Guerrero, and of course the great one, Rogers Hornsby. Every single statistic that you track down in Albert Pujols puts him in rarefied air. Just an outstanding offensive player and mature for his age, both on the field and off. Broken bat, Larson down to short. Renteria scoops. Got him. And Pena could not go to third, so he's still sitting at second.
Matt Morris is just simply a master at being able to use his fastball in and out of the strike zone, drop that big curveball in there when he has to. And when he knows that a player is trying to hit the ball the other way, he's giving him pitches that make it very difficult to do that. He did that with Jason LaRue. That was the big out right there, not having LaRue be able to get that runner to third base.
So Dave Miley will pinch hit for Sanchez. Here comes Jacob Cruz, 11 for 30 as a pinch hitter. 2 homers, 19 knocked in. Overall on the season, he has 1 of those home runs as a pinch hitter. He leads the major leagues with those 11 pinch hits. And included in that, a 5 for 10 streak for him. So runner at second. Reds trying to chip away and get a run in. McCluskey Chevrolet, home of the quick credit guarantee. One click, one call, one number can do it all. 761-1111.com. McCluskey Chevrolet. So Sanchez night is done. Through 70 pitches, allowed 4 runs on 5 hits in 4 innings of work. Struck out 2 batters and he walked a pair as well. Dribble foul to the right side, a ball, 2 strikes. Great crowd at Great American Ballpark tonight. In addition to all the Reds fans who are in town, a lot of Cardinals fans have come down from the St. Louis area, and of course the Society for American Baseball Research, SABR, holding its convention here in Cincinnati this week. One of the highlights of the baseball summer, and a whole lot of baseball fans from around the Midwest and around the country have trekked here.
Really all over the North American continent, from what I can tell. Several people from Canada there, and many from the West Coast. Saberites from all over. 650 of them in all have come to Cincinnati for this national convention.
They move it around every year. They plan 3 or 4 years in advance, and anytime it's in the Midwest, in Chicago or St. Louis or Cincinnati, they always get great attendance. Great baseball towns and great baseball fans as the Saberites come to town. That's up high to Cruz. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And what is the Society for American Baseball Research? It's about anything and everything you think about for baseball. It's numbers, it's statistics, it's trends. There's a ground ball down to short. Takes a tricky hop, but Renteria holds on and gets the out. So Pena gets a double, nothing to show for it as the Reds go 1-2-3. Ryan Wagner comes in when
birthday boy into the game for the Reds. Ryan Wagner, 22nd birthday this afternoon, or today. Happy birthday to Ryan, in for the 20th time. Recalled from Louisville after being sent down, making the ball club out of spring training. Recalled July the 4th, pitched against the Cardinals on July the 5th.
So Wagner goes to work, facing the top of the order. Tony Womack, Renteria, and Pujols will follow. Sanchez got Womack twice. He's 0 for 2, 2 groundouts. Cardinals lead it 4-1. Speaking of birthdays, we want to say a happy birthday to our main man down in the truck, Mark Goldsmith, who celebrated his birthday during the All-Star break. Now, some guys, you know, plan big extravaganzas for their birthday. What did he do? He was with his wife.
I thought he spent the day in the dentist chair.
No, that was the day before.
That was
today. He's had the tooth for 5 days. His wife underwent knee surgery yesterday. Now that's a big-time birthday present.
You're not kidding, I'll tell you.
You get a lot of points for that, Goldie. Big-time points. She gave him, what do you think? What do you think he gave her? A prescription of painkillers from the doctor.
You know, I think that's a couple that has everything. I don't know what they could possibly give that they don't already have.
Happy birthday, Goldie. He's not quite as old as Ryan Wagner, who's 22 today. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Womack. Wagner trying to keep it where it is and give the Reds a chance to battle back. Sanchez pitched great for the first 3. He ran into a roadblock in the 4th. Skied to center. Here comes Friel. Ryan under it. He's got it, and there's 1 away. Time for a Geico Direct moment. You know, you talk about the All-Star game. Renteria just came from there, and there are a lot of great moments. Well, How about Red Schoendienst, 10-time National League All-Star? He ripped a game-winning home run in the 14th inning of the 1950 Midsummer Classic off Ted Gray of the Detroit Tigers. Here's the redhead talking about it.
I said, well, if I get in that ball game, I'm going to hit one up in the seats. That was in right field. And so now the game goes on, and all of a sudden they tell me to get in the game. I took over at second base for Jackie Robinson, and I come up to hit. As I walked up to hit, Walker Cooper says, "Hey, Red," he says, "you're going to hit right-handed. You're going to hit one in the right field seats." I said, "No, I'm going to hit it in the left field seat," and I did. But that was just, you know, lucky, because I only hit most home runs I ever hit in 1 year. It was 15. That was 2 years ago. It was always about 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs the most. But all in all, it just happened at that particular time, and that was the 14th inning, and that was the first extra inning All-Star game they had.
It's a redhead. Great memory from the 1950 All-Star game. And the other, you know, he kind of alluded to it a little bit. The long version of the story, Ted, Stan Musial says very clearly that he told him before he went up to bat and before the game he was going to hit a homer to win the ball game, and he did. The switch hitter, the redhead, that was also his first ever homer right-handed. A great moment in All-Star history, and a great moment for him. Well, Pujols and Renteria have their own All-Star moments. They each got hits in the All-Star game yesterday. Renteria sitting down at first. Nice play by Dunn, held him to a single. Skied to right center. Here comes Friel. He's under it. He's got it. Renteria goes halfway and then retreats. Pujols, of course, homered it the last time up. That gave the Cardinals a 2-1 lead. Renteria still sitting at first, and here comes Roland, 0 for 2, ground out and a strikeout.
Are you convinced enough yet to name Edgar Renteria on the all-time All-Reds killer list?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, every time you look up against the Reds, he's on base or delivering a game-winning hit late in the game.
He's on a lot of folks' lists like that. I mean, for when he first came up in Florida. In fact, he's now a teammate of Reggie Sanders. But remember the game-winning hit he had down in Florida. The Reds and the Florida Marlins went extra innings, and a patented hit against the left-hander. He lined it to right center field, and Reggie and Deion Sanders collided. Reggie was almost knocked out. Game-winning hit.
Off of Gabe White, wasn't it?
I think it was. It was off a lefty, I remember. Reggie almost got killed, and Renteria had a game-winning hit. Boy, can he handle a bat.
Best tackle Deion made all year.
Yeah. The most contact. LaRue gives chase. He'll run out of room. And those are two pretty good athletes that smashed into each other. Reggie was in right, Deion was in center. 2 balls, 1 strike. Renteria still on first. He turns on this one deep down the left field line. That'll curve foul by about 10 feet. It just kept curving, but boy, did he hit it a mile down the left field line. You can just tell, Chris, he doesn't have his legs under him. I mean, he's swinging with hands and with arms.
Yeah, really all upper bodies. You can see right there. That was a breaking ball that was off speed, so he was out ahead of it anyway. But even more pronounced is when he has to run out of ground ball.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Casey will play behind Renteria, who's off and running. Bounce back to Wagner. Ryan gets the out. That'll do it. So a hit by Renteria. He's left stranded. The job done by Wagner. Here comes Friel to lead it off. Matt Morris back to work. Here's Ryan Friel, bottom of 5. Friel singled, stole a base, scored a run in the first. That's the only run the Reds have, and bounced back to the pitcher in the second inning. Takes a peek down at third where Roland's playing him tight. Here are the numbers on this one. Reds took an early 1-0 lead in the first. All 4 of the runs for the Cardinals scored in the fourth. Jesus Sanchez, the starter, pitched well through 3. Allowed only 1 hit, a single by Renteria. Then in the fourth, Renteria single, Pujols homered, a walk, an infield hit, a double, produced the other 2 runs. Pretty good to right. Back is Sanders. Reaches up, hauls it in, 1 away. Hey, tonight, don't forget the Best Sports Show period, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, brings you some basketball talk. I'll talk to Mavericks owner Mark Cuban about the Lakers trading Shaq to the Heat and the power shift from the west to the east. Plus, Pistons stars Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups drop by to talk about their NBA hopes to repeat next year. Whole different landscape for the NBA with Shaquille O'Neal going to Miami. That brings a different look to the east and a different look to the west. There's Barry Larkin. Reached on an infield hit, went to second on the error by Morris, and that allowed the first run for the Reds to score. He struck out in the third. Larkin, one of 4 Reds to go to the All-Star game. Larkin and Graves dressed. Casey and Griffey were injured, did not play. First time Reds have had 4 All-Stars since '95. They'd love to duplicate what they did in '95, and that's go to the postseason. Beachmont Ford, easy to find, easy to deal with. The largest truck dealer in Southwest Ohio with over 1,200 trucks available at all times. It's Beachmont Ford.
Location, and for Jesus Sanchez, found out that high fastballs go a long way. Bad location there, but the location that Matt Morris has made with his slider tonight has been impeccable.
Drilled to center, but the 6-time Gold Glove winner Jim Edmonds will be there to haul it in, 2 away.
And interesting what Morris and Matheny have done tonight. He's got that big 12-6 curveball, and he's got a little slider that he's throwing as well, but he's throwing one and then the other and then one and then the other and then backing somebody off the plate with a fastball and then going back to it. Very effective so far against right-handers doing just that.
Remember his rookie year, the start he had at Busch Stadium against Brett Tomko of the Reds. It looked like these are 2 hard-throwing right-handers that'll be around for a long time. Tomko's bounced around. This one blooped to left. Long run to Gucci. It will be a foul ball. And they were both hard throwers at that time.
Oh, yeah, they were racking up some strikeouts.
Morris has had a series of injuries. It certainly has taken a fastball in the mid-90s and dropped it down to around 90-91 at its best. And what he's doing tonight is pitching. No longer does he have something to blow you away, but what he's got is in the middle of his chest, and that's a pretty big heart.
You know, you're right, and I do remember when he first came up, it was pretty much fastball slider, and then he spent a lot of time with Darryl Kyle working on the curveball. Of course, Kyle was so well known for his curveball, and he took Morris. I remember watching him. If you got to the ballpark early enough, George, they would be out in front of the Cardinal dugout just playing catch, throwing, flipping curveballs back and forth to each other, and Darryl Kyle trying to coach him on the proper way of holding it, releasing it, getting spin on it. And he has taken that advice and made himself a complete pitcher.
Casey fouls it off. Morris, Matheny, Biggio, Bagwell have remained close to the Kyle family. They always will. And still next to Matt Morris in the Cardinal clubhouse is a locker for Darryl Kyle. More than just a teammate, a soulmate for this big right-hander. You know, you talk about throwing a breaking ball, and of course Kyle and everybody else that's gone to Colorado's had a hard time throwing a breaking ball there. But I mean, wherever he was in Houston or St. Louis, he did what you talked about. He'd go out there early, and you had to throw it in between starts. It's the spin, it's the feel, it's the touch.
It's such a feel pitch, and when you have the right touch, it's a great one. If you have the wrong touch, it's like you've never thrown one before. But those great pitchers like Matt Morris, who can consistently throw it start in and start out every 5 days, that's something that you just have to work on, and you finally get the feel of it.
1-2 to Casey. Loop to left. Taguchi's got his sights on it, and he hauls it in. 1-2-3 for Morris in the 5th. Rio Larkin and Casey go down. Here we go to the 6th. Sanders will lead it off. Brian Wagner's 2nd inning of work. He allowed 1 hit, a single by Renteria. He faces Reggie Sanders, who walked twice. Reggie in the 4th stole a base with no one on and 1 out. Then scored on a base hit by Taguchi. Taguchi, Matheny, Pujols, all run scoring hits in the 4th. Pujols was his 23rd homer. Sanders right center. Field there, and there's 1 away. Time for our lottery winning numbers in the Ohio Lottery tonight. Pick 3, 711, 711. Pick 4, 6196, 6196. Buckeye 5, 20, 26, 29, 33, 34, 20, 26, 29, 33, 34. Hope you had a winner in the Ohio Lottery tonight. Here's Edmonds, flied to left and robbed of a hit on a play by Casey in the 4th inning. Corner for a strike, and it's 2-1. Now, if you take them, the 8 players you put out on the field, and the Cardinals have been lucky without injuries in the first half. There's really not a better team in all of baseball. If they stay healthy, Chris, through the second half, they're now 21 games over 500. A good chance they can keep the lead in the Central and march into the playoffs.
Well, they've certainly worked hard and played some great baseball thus far. The thing that you wonder about the Cardinals, and everybody wondered at the beginning of the season when they matched them up against the Astros and the Astros pitching. When you matched them up against the Cubs and the Cubs pitching staff, they didn't stack. But they've had overachievers out of Chris Carpenter, and Jason Marquez had a tremendous year, and Woody Williams, who started out very slow because he kind of had a setback in spring training, has come on very strong, and Matt Morris has been Matt Morris. 9 wins right now. So Tony La Russa, can he continue to push the right buttons in the second half? That's the question. Can Chris Carpenter, after missing a couple of years, be strong in the second half? Can Woody Williams turn in a good second half? Can Jason Marquez, who's never had a great second half, turn in a good second half?
Hey, don't forget the Reds' legs run for home is coming up in August. On your mark, get set, go. Calling all runners for our 2004 version. This 5K run and walk Sunday, August the 8th at 8 a.m. Race starts at Great American Ballpark, loops through downtown, finishes inside the ballpark. Reds online. SignMeUpSports.com is where you can find out more about it. All proceeds benefit the Cincinnati Reds Community Fund. Walk to Edmonds. Here's Taguchi. Fly to left and reached on a bunt hit that knocked in Sanders with the 3rd run for the Cardinals in the 4th inning. Jose Aquindo flashes his signs. Edmonds and McKay over at first. Peer across to double check him. There goes Edmonds, and this is fouled off.
So I really don't think, considering all the questions that I just posed, and people around the league have obviously had the same questions about the Cardinals. They've surprised people, I think, George, by playing so well. I think the Astros have surprised a lot of people by playing so poorly. And the Cubs, of course, stricken with injuries to their big-time pitchers, have kind of got back to the rest of the pack, and that's the reason why. So, you know, the schedule works against some of these teams because the Cardinals don't play the rich pitching Cubs anymore, or the pitching rich Cubs, except for a couple of more games, and that would be right after they finish this 4-game series with the Reds.
They're rich pitching too.
Yes, they are.
Either way, right?
I'll take either one.
1 ball, 1 strike. Taguchi. Runner not going. That's slap foul the other way. The one thing that you did find out, a healthy Kerry Wood can still turn any lineup around. He did it on Sunday with 5 strong innings as the Cubs won the final game of that series. That's the Cubs side of it. They get a healthy Wood back for the second half. And how about the Houston wild card, naming, you know, Scrap Iron Garner to take over for Jimmy Williams? Will he have an effect for the second half?
They've had some injury setbacks as well. Not everybody on that ball club has played up to expectation, so the manager pays the price.
Done in on the off-balance swing and pop-up by Taguchi to left, 2 away.
The JTM Food Group would like to salute the people of our community who unselfishly volunteer their time to help others. JTM Food Group, where service is success.
By the way, we want to say congratulations to Bob Diltz and Catherine Nero for their brand new baby Elizabeth, 8 pounds, blue eyes, and great present for the All-Star break.
All right, congratulations.
Catherine, local television personality here in Cincinnati, outstanding sports reporter, and now a great news reporter too. Congratulations. There's a base hit into center. Edmonds takes a big turn but will hold at second. So a walk and a base hit by Matheny, and there's 2 on, 2 outs, and here comes Morris. Third base runner allowed by Wagner in his 1 2/3 innings of work.
So certainly the Houston Astros, by making that change with their manager, really giving Jimmy Williams his walking papers and getting Phil Garner, former Houston Astro, in there to manage, they're not giving up. Obviously they've got a lot invested in that ball club, and they feel that they've had some underperformers so far, and they need to get it working right away to get back into the race. At least in the Central Division race, a lot of teams are still alive in the wild card.
Reds start the day, 1.5 back of the Cubs in the wild card hunt. Morris bounces one over the pitcher. It'll go into center. That'll score a run. So Morris, after grounding out and striking out, finds a hole in the middle of the Reds defense, gets a base hit, and for Matt Morris, that's his 6th run batted into the year.
Yeah, I wonder if Ryan Friel thinks that the second baseman's back there to field this ball, because he kind of gives a half effort at it. It goes over his glove anyway, but D'Angelo Jimenez was pinched a little around towards first base. Perhaps they didn't feel that Morris is even going to pull the ball that much. But you put the bat in somebody's hand, and he puts the bat on the ball, and anybody's dangerous, and the Cardinals systematically now just scoring runs.
Those walks come back to haunt Edmonds, who walks, scores, and it's 5-1 St. Louis. Don Gullett to the phone. They're rustling around in the bullpen for Cincinnati. Back to the top of the order again. Womack up for the 4th time as we are now in the 6th inning. 0 for 3, 2 ground outs and a fly ball out.
You just think how big this game is, not only to the Reds, but from the St. Louis Cardinals standpoint. They win this first game of 4, and then the Reds have to sweep the next 3 just to pick up 1 game on the 4-game series. If the Reds come in here, or the Cardinals come in, and the Reds simply take 2 out of 4, then the Cardinals get exactly what they want. They leave town with the same lead that they came in with.
And as we've talked about, everyone else in the Central is looking for whoever plays the Cardinals to win, to try to close the gap. I mean, the only way this becomes a race again is if not just one team, but multiple teams can win some games against St. Louis. If not, then the Cardinals are in a position to rest some people as the second half of the season goes along.
You look through the standings, and by just a rough estimate, there are approximately 18 teams that still have legitimate shots at postseason play, which now takes you to the next question. What teams are going to add? What teams are going to sell off? And at what price will you have to pay to add? With so many teams in the market, the price for an extra player here and there might be awfully expensive this year.
2-2 to Womack. That's Rick Fowle. Now, the Reds in particular, and you talk about those teams that are on the bubble. I mean, if you're a St. Louis team, you know you're going to be in the hunt for the rest of the year. You need that middle infielder. Do you need some help, some pitching help? They can definitely make a plan to go after. Whether you get it or not is another story. But if you're Dan O'Brien, for instance, with the Reds, what happens if you win 4 against the Cardinals here and all of a sudden you're 3.5 back? You're very much in it. If you lose 4, now all of a sudden you're 11.5 back. Are you out of it? Does that mean you make negative deals instead of positive deals? It's a point in these next 2 weeks that will be closely watched by all those teams that are on the bubble. 3-2, 2 outs. 2 on, the runner's going. That slap to left, done there. Had him under it, he's got it. But the Cardinals do some business. A 1-out walk. Finally scores on a hit by Morris. It's 5-1 St. Louis. Some leftovers from Mark Goldsmith's birthday party yesterday here at the ballpark. No, Junior's not in the lineup. He's on the disabled list. By the way, said that he is feeling a little better, but you know the old hamstring story. Wait till it feels good, then wait a week more before you come back in. The hope is that he'll be back sooner rather than later. Such a great first half for Ken Griffey Jr. and the hope is the second half, once he gets back on the horse again, will be just as good, maybe better. Good crowd on hand here at Great American Ballpark as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Matt Morris, Reds had him on the tightrope early. He threw 31 pitches in the 1st inning when the Reds got their lone run. Since then, he's been pretty much in control. Reds had a hit in the 2nd by LaRue, a double by Dunn in the 3rd, a double by Pena in the 4th, and a 1-2-3 5th. With the exception of the 5th, Reds have had at least one runner in scoring position every inning. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 at bats with runners in scoring position for the Reds tonight, and only one hit. That was the Larkin infield hit. Didn't even score a run. It was the error that allowed the run to score.
We talk a lot about the little things that do and do not happen. And from the Reds' perspective tonight, they scored a run in the 1st inning, but they also had a runner on second base with nobody out in the 1st inning and were unable to get him to 3rd. Same thing happened in the 4th inning when Willie Mo Pena comes up, hits a double, unable to get him to 3rd base with nobody out. And it just makes it awfully easy to get that runner in from 3rd base with less than 2 outs. It doesn't require a base hit. And instead of being a 5-1 ball game, you just score those other 2 runs and it's a 5-3 game. So the Reds can talk about how strong the Cardinals are and how good Matt Morris has been tonight, but to some extent they can blame themselves for not doing those little things that a team like the Reds has to do. They just have to be able to move that runner to 3rd base in order to give the guy behind you a chance to drive him in with a fly ball or a ground ball.
That'll find its way into center. Dunn has his 2nd hit. He's 2 for 3. Double to left, his single to center, 2 for 3. And here comes D'Angelo Jimenez, 0 for 1 and a walk. Fox Sports Net welcomes our viewers watching on Wide Open West in Columbus, Ohio, at OTEC Communications in Ottoville, Ohio. Thanks for watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net and welcome aboard. So Dunn's on, and here's D'Angelo. Walked in the 1st and retired on a nice play by the second baseman Womack on a deflection off the glove of Pujols in the 3rd. Pena on deck for Cincinnati. This game 1 of the 4-game series. Tomorrow, Paul Wilson against Woody Williams. We're on the air with Real Reds at 6:30. The game will follow at 7. Saturday, remember, that's a day game now. Corey Lytle against Jason Marquis. And then Sunday, we're on the air with Real Reds at 12:30. The game will follow. Jose Acevedo against Jeff Suppan. Monday, Aaron Harang set to go for the Reds against Milwaukee. We're on the air at 6:30. Line drive to right. That's a base hit. Dunn will stop at second. So Jimenez stretches his hitting streak to 5 straight with the base hit. 2 runners on quickly here in the 6th, and here comes Willie Moe.
Well, it's been in situations like this with runners on base and in scoring position that Matt Morris is a guy that usually gets awfully tough. Now he faces the next 3 hitters, right-handed hitters, in Pena, LaRue, and Larson. The slider's been good tonight. The off-speed breaking ball has been effective for him. He's looking for a ground ball to get through this 6th inning. 17 of his 18 starts, Matt Morris has pitched at least 6 innings. I think that's a pretty impressive stat.
He's usually 110 to 120 pitch count guy on any given night. He's already at 100 pitches.
And there's the curveball. And he's just not throwing a curveball in the stone. He is throwing it to a spot. He has consistently kept that curveball on the outer part of the plate to a right-hander. And if you pull off the ball at all, you're not going to hit it.
Down the right field line, curving. It'll go foul by about 5 feet. Well, the good news, if you've watched Willie Moe over the last 3 years, is he's going that way a lot more. He's gotten the idea, with the help of Chris Chambliss, the Reds hitting instructor, that they're going to pitch your way. They're going to give you breaking balls away. Here are the numbers for Willie Moe in the last month and a half. And yep, he's gaining some momentum.
Yeah, those are his career numbers during those times. So after May rolls around, he turns it on a little bit.
And you can really see that coincides, unfortunately, year after year with injuries to Reds outfielders, whether it's been Austin Kearns or Dunn or Griffey. That's why Pena's had more at-bats in the second half of seasons. And it's been the same story again this year with Austin Kearns on the DL and now Junior on the DL. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Pena. That's a base hit. Dunn had to hold, so he'll stop at third. The second baseman, Womack, was close enough to that Dunn had to wait and see if it was going through. Good job by Pena. 3 straight hits for the Reds.
Yeah, that ball he got up a little bit. Morris did. You see up around the letters, and Willie Moe just gets the end of it. Very similar to the double that he hit off the glove of Reggie Sanders in right field. Just got enough of it to get it through the infield. Adam Dunn, with nobody out in first and second's got to make sure that ball is going through the infield. Down 5-1. No reason to take a chance. And the Reds have something seriously cooking here with the bases loaded. Action now in the Cardinal bullpen as the pitching coach Dave Duncan walks out.
Duncan out talking to Morris. They're rustling around. No one started to throw yet. In the Reds bullpen, John Riedling has gotten up. We're now at the 7th spot in the order, 2 away from the pitcher's spot. Well, Morris trying to find a way to wriggle out of this. The Reds trying to find a way to get in the ball game. Here's LaRue. He's had pretty good numbers against Morris. He's 1 for 2 today. Overall, 7 for 18 and a homer against Matt Morris. Gets a hole in one here. We got a brand new ball game. Down to third. Rolling scoops. They'll get 1 at the plate, and that's all. Morris took a little off. Way out in front is LaRue, and here's your ground ball.
Well, it's the same pitch, the first pitch that he's been throwing to an awful lot of the right-handed hitters tonight. That's a first pitch curveball. So he gets a ground ball right there. Not hit really hard enough for a double play ball. So Scott Rowland does a smart thing, gets the lead runner, and keeps the lead of the 4 runs intact.
All right, now what do you do? There's John Vanderwall. You do have the switch hitter Valentin left, but Vanderwall is your #1 left-handed pinch hitter remaining. And if in fact we get to that point, do you use him this early in a ball game, knowing that you got Isringhausen and the rest of the right-handers coming up later in the ball game? And Valentin will move into the on-deck circle. That's a fly ball towards the corner. It will be foul.
Well, the Reds and Matt Morris have walked a fine line in this inning. Willie Pena nearly hits the ball fair right down the line. Brandon Larson there hoping against hope that that ball stays in fair territory, and it just drifts a little bit on the other side. Now, Matt Morris is the type of pitcher, obviously, with his record, and it's a good one in his career. He toughens up when the going gets tough, and batting average against when he has the bases loaded is 161.
Trying to get Larson to go fishing, won't do it.
Now, if you check out the offensive numbers of most players, they bat much better with the bases loaded than nearly in any other situation because they know they're going to get a strike. But Morris is exactly the opposite. He really toughens up.
1-2 to Larson. That's a ground ball foul past the third baseman Rowland. So all three runners will head back to their bases. A ball, 2 strikes.
And tonight, with Morris being able to use all of his pitches, he's got his fastball located, not overpowering. He's got his slider working very nicely. He's got that curveball, and he's even thrown a couple of changeups. Very tough pitcher to guess with.
Setting up inside now. There's a ground ball to short. 6-4. Not in time at first. The run will score. Well, Larson beats the throw to first. 1 run will score. It's a 5-2 game. Give LaRue credit. He bore down on Womack to make that throw to first a little more difficult.
Jason LaRue always hustling on the base paths, and that's one reason why that double play wasn't complete. The other reason was that Brandon Larson busting it the best that he can down the line.
So Valentin will pinch hit. Valentin represents now the only catcher left for the Reds as a backup, with LaRue starting. Corky Miller sent down today back to Louisville when Casey was activated. So first and third, 2 outs. Valentin swinging from the left side against Morris. So it means Vanderwall is still available for later on. And you got to figure, Chris, with Morris usually being around 110 to 120, if he gets out of this inning here, this may be his last inning. Valentin trying to make him pay for staying one more batter. Valentin 1 for 12 as a pinch hitter this year, and a run knocked in.
Morris, as we said in our Pontiac scatter report at the very onset of the show, that he's an innings eater. He came into this ball game 5th in the National League in innings pitched. Just trying to find his way through the 6th.
First and third for the Reds. Valentin way out in front, and it's 1-2.
Nasty curveball. Yeah, he sells this pitch so well because he throws it from exactly the same arm slot that he does that fastball. And the pitch just previous to that was that little slider of his. So you think you're on it, and all of a sudden, if you don't see the spin, that baby just drops into the dirt.
1-2 with 2 away. Larson off first, Pena off third. He went swinging at it, doesn't get it, so Morris battles back after 3 straight hits for the Reds. Cincinnati gets only 1 out of it. It's a 5-2 ball game. Don't forget, more Reds baseball will be coming your way right here on Fox Sports Net. Game 2 of this 4-game set for tomorrow. Real Reds at 6:30. The game will follow at 7. It's the Reds against the Redbirds tomorrow. Paul Wilson goes for his 10th against Woody Williams. 6-6 coming in. Join us tomorrow and all season long for Reds baseball right here on Fox Sports Net. Here's the new chucker for the Reds.
Yeah, one of the more used chuckers out of the Reds bullpen. John reeling in for the 43rd time this season. 4-2 overall with a 380.
Renteria to right. Back is Pena at the wall. He can't get it. It bounces off the wall, and Renteria will have his 4th hit of the night. 3 singles and a double for Edgar Renteria. He continues to kill the Reds. Over 500, over 300 for his career, and this season that's a 4-hit game tonight for Edgar.
Well, here's a guy that has really struggled all year long against right-handed pitching, but he has had 2 back-to-back hits tonight against Ryan Wagner, and now John reeling as he sends Willie Moe to the wall, or nearly so. Boom, I heard him hit the wall in real time, and that ball goes in for a double.
So Renteria's in scoring position, and here comes Albert. Pujols 1 for 3, a homer, his 23rd of the year, 2 runs knocked in. His homer in the 4th took a Reds 1-0 lead and turned it into a 2-1 Cardinal lead after a Renteria single. To right, Pena's got his sights on it. He almost gets deep, and being off balance, Renteria alertly reads it and will go from second to third. If he catches the ball in proper throwing stance, no doubt Renteria doesn't go anywhere. But look at the reaction by Renteria.
Well, and he didn't move until he realized that ball was going to be nearly over his head. Renteria error. Way wrong, because they would be.
See exactly where he was, and great read by Renteria.
It was a good job also by Albert Pujols out getting that runner to third. Now with 1 out, to get the ball in the outfield to get another run in.
The Reds have over the wall. Scott Rowland puts the hammer on it. A big-time shot to left. Rocket that clears the 379 sign. Add 2 more to the Cardinals, and they lead it. Well, so far, John Reeling here in the 7th. Pulling no one. A double, a line drive out, and this homer by Rowland is 19th of the year.
Well, a location again up around the belt. Boy, that's a pretty good hitting spot right there. A hanging breaking ball, and Scott Rowland says, hey, I can take care of that one. Forget about the sacrifice fly. Let me just hit a liner right over the 379 mark.
The 82 runs batted in for big number 27. Well, bad knee or not, Rowland put the hammer on that one, didn't he? Rowland with a 13-run batted in lead over Vinny Castilla going into tonight's play. Sanders slices it to right. Over is Casey. He's got it. That's your second out of the inning. And here comes Edmonds. Hey, senior citizens, the Reds have a deal for you. It's a senior citizen discount special at the ballpark. On Tuesday, July 20th, Reds meet up with the Brewers at 12:35. You can get half-price tickets. That's right, all Reds fans 60 and older may purchase half-price non-premium tickets in advance of game day. That's next Tuesday, 12:35, Reds versus the Brew Crew for your Senior Citizen Day special. Up and into Edmonds. Edmonds today flied to left, bounced out on a nice play by Casey, and walked, sitting on a 5 straight game home run streak. That's rarefied air for he and the Cardinals. And Griffey Jr., of course, did it back in '93 as a member of Seattle. He hit not just 5 straight, he hit an 8 straight. Don Mattingly did it for the Yankees. Dale Long did it in the 50s. Edmonds' streak started against Cincinnati, the final 2 games of the series in St. Louis. Then he homered in each of the games against the Cubs before the All-Star break. Missing, yep, that clips the corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sierra Mist, shockingly refreshing. Unleash the fresh taste of lemon lime Sierra Mist from the makers of Pepsi, the choice of the Reds. Where do you get those home run numbers from? From guys like Saberites, like David Vincent.
Yeah, I guess a night like this, our good buddy Daddy Wags, it has to be in his glory.
He's kind of feeling bad about having to leave town to do a game this weekend. He just soon stay here
Oh,
with all the
absolutely.
Sabre guys.
Hang around with all the Sabre guys over at the Westin Hotel where they're having a huge convention. I'll tell you what, if you have a chance and you're a baseball fan, that would be there are some forums and some presentations that would be very interesting this weekend.
Swing and a miss. Edmonds retired, but the 2-run home run by Rollins. 7-2. Redbirds have a 5-run lead here in the 7th. Game summary. Reds took an early lead 1-0 on a Friel base hit, stolen base, an infield hit by Larkin, and an error by Morris, but boom, the hammer fell in the 4th inning. Cardinals knocked in 4. Pujols a 2-run homer, and then another 2-run homer in the 7th by Rollins, added up 7-10-1 for St. Louis, 2-8-0 for Cincinnati. Willie Mopena 1 for 2, a double, 6 for 8 in the last 2 games. Matt Morris is the guy who is getting credit for the pitching side of it. On the offensive side, Edgar Renteria, 4 hits on the night, 3 singles and a double for Renteria. Added up, and the Cardinals have a 7-2 lead in this one, Chris.
I'll tell you what, this guy has really been the catalyst because the Reds have been able to contain the leadoff man, Tony Womack, for the most part. But you can't forget about Edgar Renteria, the all-star, 4 base hits, couple of runs in, and here's Steve Klein, part of the tremendous 1-2 punch Tony La Russa has from the left side of the bullpen. Klein and Ray King, having some of the best years left-handed relievers in the league, are having this year.
Here's Friel. Ryan 1 for 3. Base hit in the first, stretched his hitting streak to a career high 10 games. Facing Klein here in the bottom of 7. Klein unscored upon in 22 games. That encompasses 18 innings at home this season. An ERA that's been outstanding, and King and Klein have given the Cardinals the best left-handed 1-2 punch in the league. Back them up with the closer Jason Isringhausen. That's a hard hit ball. Double dribble by Renteria. He won't be able to throw out Friel. That'll go as a base hit. 2 for 4 is Friel.
Shot like a cannon was that ball off the bat of Ryan Friel. On one hop right there, Renteria goes to his right, tries to backhand that ball, but Ryan Friel was able to get a base hit, 2nd on the night. I'll tell you, Renteria reacts so quickly to this. Anybody else running, or nearly anybody else running, he's got a shot at getting him at first base. But Friel is the swiftest of the Reds.
So the Reds have a runner on, but they now trail by 5. And here's Barry Larkin. Larkin singled in the first, struck out, and flied to center. Casey then Dunn to follow. Klein is in there because this is the left-handed thrust of the lineup. Casey and Dunn after Larkin. Strike 1 and 2. Introducing a delicious twist on ordinary chicken salad. Arby's Market Fresh Chicken Salad. Try a sandwich, a wrap, or a bowl. One great chicken salad. 3 ways to enjoy it. Now at Arby's. Larkin retired. First out of the inning, and here comes Sean Casey. Phil Norton is up in the bullpen, loosening for Cincinnati.
That's called consistency right there, to be able to hit lefties. And remember that some of the lefties that Sean Casey's smashing that .330 batting average against are holding other lefties to batting averages under 200, like Steve Klein. He gives up a batting average of 180 to lefties, but a little bit higher than that to righties. I think he didn't fool Friel on that move, but he did fool Albert Pujols.
Picking off the first baseman is just as dangerous as picking off a runner.
You know you have a good move when. You know, Sean Casey looking at an 0-for on the night right now, but you got to figure it's going to take a little while, even though he's having a tremendous year. He missed some time, then you compound that with the time he missed at the All-Star break, and just try to get back into the swing of things. And you wonder also, George, if he feels maybe a little extra pressure to carry a little bit more of the load, because he knows that he's the main run producer. Now with Ken Griffey Jr. on the shelf for a while, someone has to double up the effort, and it's like Sean Casey to take that extra responsibility.
Casey said the time on the DL and the team went on the road was one of the toughest times of his career, watching the Reds struggle on the road and then not being able to be a part of it. Two balls, two strikes. Kiko Calero up and loosening. Right-hander in the bullpen for the Cardinals. Runner not going. Casey drills it right to Womack. It'll be a double play. He hit it right on the button, but right at the second baseman.
He comes out into the ball game with a .582 earned run average. Norton is joined by Gabe White down there in the bullpen as a couple of left-handers that Dave Miley has to choose from, and I would imagine that going here forward, that when Mike Matthews comes back, there'll be decision time for the Reds as to what they'll do with their left-handed trio at that time. But Norton and Matthews for the first half of the year, then the Reds were able to go out and get Gabe White back into the fold, and here's Norton to try to protect that 5-run deficit.
Here's Taguchi, slide to left. Bunted his way on in the fourth, and that knocked in Sanders to make it 3-1, and then fly to left last time up. Norton goes to work, breaking the ball a little high for ball one. 37th game, 34 innings pitched for Phil Norton, this left-hander out of the bullpen. Norton and Gabe White, the two left-handers for Cincinnati. Mike Matthews, who underwent elbow surgery, began rehab almost immediately, and it'll be sometime in August before he would be hopefully available and ready to come back. 2-0. That's a strike. Third baseman Larson back. Sanders runner on third. Pretty good bunt by Taguchi, gets a run in.
You know, I think even if they were playing up close, it probably would have been a bunt base hit. But had they played Taguchi up close, even with the bag, he may have not even tried the bunt. So sometimes a little preventative defense may have been exactly what the Reds needed there. But as it stands, that one run that he knocked in at the time looked like a big run, but since the Scott Rowland bombed one out of here in the 7th inning for a 2-run blast, maybe not as important.
Three balls, two strikes to Taguchi. That's line to right. Here comes Pena, and he got it. He read that one perfectly off the bat. Robs Taguchi of a hit, and there's one away. Hey, Reds fans, you know how easy it is to dress like your favorite player? Just go to CincinnatiReds.com, click on Shop for Everything. From players' jerseys to T-shirts, caps, and more, you'll find it at CincinnatiReds.com. It's the place to shop for all your Reds merchandise. Here's Matheny. He doubled in a run in the fourth and singled his last time up, 2 for 3. On this day and age of offense, I mean, there's nobody like Pudge Rodriguez. Having said that, I still think the key ingredient for a catcher is how do you handle your pitching staff and being able to control the running game, and the Osmuses, the Matheny's do that better than anybody.
Well, if you can have a catcher that makes a difference in the team earned run average, and not only the way that you catch the ball or throw the runners out, but it's how you handle the pitching staff. I guess that's barely the best way you say it. How you're on the same page with these guys, and yeah, he's worth his weight in gold. And if he's a 250 hitter, then that's icing. I think Mike Matheny is one of the best in the league at doing just that, handling the pitching staff.
Oh, what a play by Larkin. Larson had fallen down in front of him, and Larkin had to avoid him and still get the ball and make a throw, and he makes it. Looks simple, but if you're heading towards this guy right there, not an easy play.
Amazing. Now you look at that picture and ask yourself, which guy is 40 years old?
Nice play by the captain, 2 away. Here's Marlon Anderson to pinch hit for Klein. So Klein works his inning, gives up a base hit, but still faced only 3 batters. Here's Marlon. So many right things have happened for the Cardinals this year, and here's one of the big reasons why they're where they are. All the extra players that they brought in are finding a way to produce. Marlon Anderson, Ray Lankford, John Mabry from the left side have come in to give good pinch hit at bats, and they'll play sporadically too. Roger Cedeno, the switch hitters, played well in the outfield and given him some good at bats. And of course Womack has been great. This one flied to right. There's Pena. He's got it. 1, 2, 3 for Norton in the 8th. Reds go to work, bottom of 8. Dunn will lead it off. Cincinnati trails by 5. Other was tonight, Chris.
Well, we found him right there, and I'll tell you what, I can't say it any better than that. George Grand, congratulations.
That's Marty Prather, the sign man from St. Louis.
Now, is that?
He does a great job.
Would that be a Cardinal cap?
He comes from St. Louis. In town, a lot of Cardinals fans here, a lot of baseball fans from the Sabre Convention. A great baseball city, and it's a great baseball week here in Cincinnati. Not starting the way the Reds want to start it, though, Chris, against this Cardinal powerhouse.
Now, you really want to win the first game if you possibly can. Ray King out there. Tony La Russa rolling out lefty after lefty. Steve Klein last inning. Here is the very tough Ray King. You may have noticed in the graphic we flashed up there, Ray King, a 140 batting average against.
Tough to remember a left-handed duo that's been as efficient as these two in recent years in the National League. And of course the Cardinals will be honored in Cooperstown this year when Dennis Eckersley, who pitched for the Cardinals towards the end of his career, will be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Tony La Russa is not going to be able to go, but Barry Weinberg, the trainer, Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, will go to Cooperstown next weekend to be part of the ceremonies. And there's a call, strike 3 in the outside corner to Adam Dunn. Dunn caught looking. Klein gets the out. There's one out here in the 8th inning. Figures Rick Honeycutt will probably be there. Speaking of left-handers.
I'll take another pitch from Ray King right there. A little slider feathering on the corner. Maybe a slider, maybe a cut fastball, but he throws Adam Dunn and continues to do what he has done all year long. Neutralize lefties and righties alike.
Came up in the Reds minor league system, did Ray King. Always enjoys coming to Cincinnati. Always scouts out and looks for Chief Bender. Says hello and cherishes his early years in the Cincinnati organization, and now he's been big time with the Cardinals. Jimenez pumps this one into the right field corner for a base hit. But D'Angelo has 2 base hits. He's got a 5-game hitting streak, and the Reds need base runners. Here comes Willie Mo Pena. There is Chief. Talk about Mr. Baseball. Brad Coleman in front of him up in the general manager's box. And out comes Tony La Russa. It looks like with the left-hander done, and then turning Jimenez around. With Pena due up, they'll bring a right-hander in. Calero's been loosening, so while the pitching change takes place, we'll remind you that this call to the bullpen is brought to you by Skyline Chili, the official chili of the Cincinnati Reds.
Russa trying to get all of his arms in the bullpen back into the swing of things after a 3-day hiatus during the All-Star break. Julian Tavares in for the 44th time this year. A very nice 3.06 earned run average for Tavares. Hard throwing right-hander with a pretty nasty slider.
Ray King got an out, gave up a hit. Here comes Pena, who's got 2 more hits tonight. He had 4 hits in the final game before the break and is 2 for 3 tonight. A double left stranded in the 4th and a single in the 6th. Reds' best scoring opportunity against Morris came in the 6th. They had Dunn, Jimenez, and Pena led off the inning with 3 straight singles. Bases loaded, nobody out. They got only 1 run out of it on a infield ground out. Pena, right center field. That will drop. Here's Jimenez rounding second, going to third. Pena will hold at first. A 4-hit game backed up by a 3-hit game for Willie Mo. He's 3 for 4. First and third for the Reds with 1 out.
A best swing of the night by Willie Mo, but what you were seeing, George, is the trend with Willie Mo is hitting the ball the other way, keeping his hands inside the ball nicely and just taking the advice of Chris Chambliss and using the entire field, trying to use the big part of the field, the gaps, and Willie Mo Pena got to be happy with the way he's been hitting the ball.
Now, Chris, the great fear of young hitters, you always want to protect in, and somebody that's strong and as quick a bat as Willie Mo, it's tough to get them to understand you don't have to worry about in. You can handle that ball away. You'll be able to turn on the ball in enough, and that's what Chris Chambliss and Barry Larkin's been talking about that too the last 2 years. So it's a process. It's a long process, and hopefully sooner or later it clicks. And to this point this year, it's starting to.
It's funny because you just wonder, had Willie Mo Pena spent more time in the minor leagues, amassed himself another 1,000 at bats down there instead of sitting on the bench in the major leagues the last few years, whether we wouldn't have seen this earlier or whether it was just something that would have come with age.
This is one sport where you have to play. You can't just take batting practice. You got to play the game to get better, and Pena, because of his contract, had to stay at the major league level. Inside to LaRue. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jason. Jason today singled and bounced out twice, 1 for 3. His numbers on the rise with runners in scoring position this year. And that slap foul the other way. 2-2. Catcher will get a new piece of lumber right now with Valentin already used. He is the catcher left. Juan Castro is technically at this stage the backup catcher, but he's dreading the point that he'll ever have to be used there. And Ryan Friel has said he'll do it if he has to. field straight away for Jason. Pena off first, Jimenez off third. He got it.
Pretty good looking changeup right there after a fastball at 93 broke the bat of Jason LaRue. LaRue took a moment, got a new bat, and then Tavares simply pulls the string on him. Same arm slot, same location, 10 miles an hour in difference results in a strikeout.
And here's Brandon Larson. Larson, a 5-game hitting streak, 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out, bounced out, and bounced into a fielder's choice that knocked in the Reds' second run back in the 6th inning. Down to third, Roland has it. Just like that, the Reds' threat wiped out. Back-to-back base hits. Nothing to show for it for Cincinnati. Reds trail at 7-2 as we go to the 9th. Back at Great American Ballpark. Crowd tonight, good crowd, 31,961. Over 7,000 walk-up tickets sold for tonight. So far, it's been a Cardinal kind of night. 7 runs, 10 hits, and an error for St. Louis. 2-11-0 for the Reds. And here's the new Red pitcher, Todd Van Poppel.
Yeah, he's the 5th pitcher of the night for the Reds. Dave Miley, like his counterpart Tony La Russa, trying to get his bullpen back and active after the break. Going to the bullpen to try to get these guys back in the swing of things.
Line drive over the head of Larkin. That's a base hit. So Womack finally gets on. Takes a big turn, but will hold at first. So Womack is 1 for 5. Leadoff hitter on here in the 9th inning, and here comes Edgar Renteria. And don't forget, IMAX returns. Max Kellerman takes on the world to discuss Kobe Bryant's decision to stay with the Lakers and how it'll impact the rest of the NBA. Plus, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban helps Max make sense of the wild off season in the NBA. Don't miss IMAX tonight, only on Fox Sports Net. Oh, Shaq goes to Miami. Kobe's staying in LA. And the plot thickens. Here's Renteria. Talk about a night. 4 hits again for Edgar. 3 singles and a 2-base hit for Renteria on this night. Down to third, but foul. In this day and age of free agency, question remains, will this guy be a free agent at the end of the year and go someplace else? This is the last year of his contract with the Cardinals. Signed through this year. He is one of a handful of free agent shortstops, you know, about Nomar Garciaparra. And we keep hearing rumors that as the Red Sox continue their search for pitching, that he might be involved in a deal. Renteria would love to stay in St. Louis. 2 balls, 1 strike. Womack got going. Pitch a little wide. 3-1. Another free agent shortstop who is one of the key players in the Giants postseason run in recent years, Rich Aurelia, put on waivers this past week by the Seattle Mariners. That's line foul. You got to figure Rich Aurelia can help somebody, Chris.
He was, you were talking earlier about an infielder here that would fit the bill for the St. Louis Cardinals to pick up for Scott Rowland in the event that his knee becomes more troublesome and they need to give him some time or even send him in for surgery, which would give him a 3 to 4 week hiatus if it's just a little cleanup kind of a deal. He's a pretty good fill-in player, been on pretty good ball clubs, so haven't seen any movement with Aurelia yet. What's the waiting deadline there? Do you know?
Not sure what day it was, but figure that there will be interest, seeing that his salary already paid for this year. You don't have to pay him the major league minimum for this year. And really, at his age, I think he's what, 33, maybe 34. he could help somebody for next year as well. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Lined. Jimenez has it. No play at first. Womack back. 1 away.
Not getting 5 hits tonight, Edgar, although you came awfully close. Nice play by D'Angelo Jimenez to take that one away from him.
So 1 out, 1 on, and here comes Albert. Pujols bounced into a double play. Homered his 23rd of the year. Give the Cardinals a 2-1 lead in the 4th, and they haven't looked back ever since. Fly ball to center, fly ball to right for Pujols, his other 2 at bats. So 1 for 4. 3 of the 4 times he hit the ball pretty hard. A couple of hits in the All-Star game, and he doesn't miss a beat starting the second half of the season. Two and 1. Casey playing behind Womack down at first. And that's wide. At Wrigley tonight, the Cubs are leading Milwaukee 3-1. They're in the 6th inning. There's a strike. 3-2. Philadelphia and the Mets tied 2-2 in the 9th. Atlanta leads Montreal 7-0 in the 8th. Colorado 2, San Francisco 1 in the 3rd. And the Dodgers and Diamondbacks scoreless in the 2nd. Popped up right side. Casey backtracking. Jimenez calling him off. 2 away. You know the story in the Central Division, where the Reds start the night 7.5 games back of the Cardinals. In the East, Philadelphia starts tonight 1 game ahead of Atlanta. Florida 1.5 games back. New York 2 games back. After the horrible start the Braves had, they're right back in the middle of it, 3 games over 500, and the Mets 1 game over 500 are very much a part of it as well in that Eastern Division. Here's Rolen, who homered last time up, a 2-run shot, 19th of the year. A league-leading total of 82 runs batted in. In the West, San Francisco a 1/2 game back of the Dodgers. San Diego 2 back to start the second half. So the makings of some pretty good pennant races. American League in the East, it looks like the Yankees, like the Cardinals, pretty comfortable right now. The battle for the wild card slot is what the Boston Red Sox are thinking of right now. They're 7 games back. The White Sox a 1/2 game ahead of Minnesota, 5.5 ahead of Cleveland and Detroit. And Texas 2 games ahead of Oakland, 2.5 ahead of Anaheim in the West. He got him. Ben Poppel gave up a leadoff base hit, and that's all here in the 9th inning. Last roundup time for the Reds. Cincinnati goes to work, trailing by 5 as we go.
For him to the post-game show, hopefully it'll last a long time before we get to him, because that would mean a Reds rally. But it'll be tough to do because Tony La Russa is going with all his main guns out of the bullpen tonight. We've seen both of his left-handers, Steve Klein and Ray King. Julian Tavares for an inning, and now Jason Isringhausen comes in. Not a safe situation for Isringhausen, but a tough right-hander with nearly a strikeout an inning comes in to try to close it down for the Cardinals with a 5-run lead.
Here's veteran pinch hitter John Vander Wal. Vander Wal 0 for 4 against Isringhausen in his career. Dave Miley had a decision early. He had Cruz and Vander Wal on the bench, 2 premier left-handed pinch hitters. Vander Wal Career numbers right there, closing in on 100 career homers. He pinch hit Cruz and pinch hit Valentine in the other run batted in slot. That was in the 6th inning when the Reds had 3 straight hits, but only got a run on a ground ball out. Well, now the 2 left-handers being used already by the Cardinals. It's Vanderwall, the left-hand swinger, against Isringhausen. In their previous encounters, 0 for 4, so Isringhausen trying to keep it right there. Here's the 1-1. Loop to left, curving, it'll be foul. Vanderwall was called up on Sunday when Ken Griffey Jr. was injured, and he doubled against Milwaukee in his first at bat with the Reds. You know his story. Signed by the Reds in the offseason, they penciled him in as their backup first baseman, outfielder, and premier left-handed pinch hitter. Injured his knee in an off-season accident shoveling snow at his home in Michigan. Underwent surgery. First they were saying he'd be out for the year. He said, no, I'll be back, and he rehabbed quick and hard. Had a blip along the road, went for a couple of weeks, then rejoined Louisville, and now is up with the big club. 1 for 1 as a pinch hitter. One thing we probably can't expect, finally gave Barry Larkin the day off Sunday the All-Star break. You probably expect Tony La Russa to give each one of his All-Star starters a day off during the series. The All-Star break is right now. You have no break if you after being there. In terms of wear and tear on the body, you're pretty tuckered out.
Those guys today, George, they were echoing those exact words.
So you would expect Roland day off on the 3 weekend games of the series. Only if they win game 1 and they're leading now 7-2, that takes a little pressure off a little bit for La Russa to do exactly that. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Vanderwall. Drill, but foul into the right field corner. Lenny Harris, the former Red, is the all-time pinch hit home run operative. Vanderwall, number 5 on the all-time list. He also has over 100 pinch hits. Popped into the seats behind the third base dugout. Good at bat for Vanderwall against Isringhausen, who's like Paul Wilson, bounced all the way back from repeated arm surgeries. Wilson's been the mainstay of the Red staff this year, and Isringhausen, who is part of that young group of pitchers that came up in the Mets organization in the early 90s. Isringhausen's back too.
You know, this doesn't seem like a big at bat right now for John Vanderwall, but you can't tell tomorrow, the next day, maybe the day after that, that this same matchup will mean they will come together with the game on the line. And for each pitch that Vanderwall can see off of Isringhausen, he goes to school on it.
And the other thing you want to do is, with 3 games still to come in this series, don't give Isringhausen a 10-pitch inning. Make him throw, and that's a 9-pitch at bat. While we went home and relaxed for the All-Star break, John Browdy was still counting pitches. He counted every All-Star pitch, and he's down in the truck counting pitches again tonight.
It's a labor of love.
There's Ryan Friel, 10-game hitting streak, 2 hits tonight. 2 for 4 is Friel. Reds need base runners. They trail by 5. Isringhausen has been successful on 9 of his 11 career save opportunities against the Reds. Against Friel, Friel's 1 for 1. Trying to bunt his way on. Isringhausen gets him. That's your first out of the 9th inning.
Good idea for Ryan Freel. Anytime you've got a guy like Ryan Freel with the kind of speed that he has, laying a bunt down on this infield, you give yourself an opportunity to put yourself on base, and that's exactly what the Reds need. Base runners and plenty of them.
Here's Larkin. Barry today singled in the first inning, 1 for 4, struck out twice, flied out in his other at bats. That's a 1-3 put out, no sacrifice for Ryan Freel. One away in the ninth. Vanderwall sitting at second. There's a bouncer to Womack. He gets the out. Larkin retired. 2 away. The runner goes to third. Cardinals will gladly take the out and allow Vanderwall to go to third, and here comes Casey. Before the game, Chris, you couldn't get Dave Miley, you couldn't get the Reds to talk about the importance of this series being a do or die series, but it's pretty clear. Starting 7.5 games back, you lose game 1 of this series, the best you can come out of this weekend series, even if you take 3 of 4, isn't very encouraging.
You pick up a game if you sweep the Cardinals 3 in a row, and that doesn't happen too often to this Cardinal ball club. But I think the Reds, from their standpoint, George, they didn't want to talk about it because they didn't want to put pressure on themselves by admitting the obvious, and I don't see a big problem with that, because these guys know internally that this is their opportunity to make a statement. When you've got that first place team coming to your ballpark in a 4-game series, and you got to take it right to them. They tried tonight, but this Cardinal ball club too strong with Matt Morris on the mound this evening.
Womack has it. It's a 3 ground ball 9th inning after the walk to Vanderwall. So Casey 0 for 5. Pujols homered on this night. He shakes hands with Scott Rowland, who also homered. They were the big hitting stars, along with Renteria, who had 4 hits. Add it all up, 7 runs, 11 hits for the Cardinals. The Reds got 11 hits also, but only 2 runs to show for the night. 7-2, the Redbirds win it. More to talk about coming up. Renteria, Pujols, Rowland, the big stars. JD, Jim Day standing by to keep us up to date on everything. Gold Star Chili Reds wrap coming up next. See you at the ballpark, everybody.